All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Hi guys, Gillian Leivers here, just checking in with you. You all know me, the man fighting the grave miscarriage of justice.
Don't flinch. We're pulling the curtain back on the injustice on the Greenfeeds case, where verdicts were handed down, but justice was not served. So buckle up. This isn't just a broadcast, it's a reckoning. This is a case of a grievous injustice, and we want to understand how things went so wrong. Listen in every Saturday between 12 and 2 p.m. and hear how the story unfolds. You'll be blown away by its content. Only on Dreamcatcher Radio.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
Okay, we are back for the Greenfeeds injustice case. We're actually doing this late in the evening. This is how much we're committed to getting these series out there for not only listeners, but also to create what I call a court of record. We're actually doing this because I'm very, very late at 9:30 at night, but it'd be for your Saturday episode. One thing I will say before I introduce who's here today on the panel, is that our listeners are very interactive and very, very positive in terms of, getting this message out there. And something that Adam stuck with me in my head for the entire week, that was from the last episode, is that this case should put the fear in God, I should say, in any employer and employee, that this situation could happen to you. And one thing that's really interesting in the exchanges of correspondences is basically listening to Adam subsequently, and also Phil, is about basically making sure that you're not responsible for certain issues and making sure it's clarified. I had a guy contact me, and he said, I'm responsible for health and safety and drivers. How do I get myself unresponsible? I said, well, I don't think you can. I said, but what you can do is clarify everything in writing. So basically what he's done is instructed his company to get an additional health and safety company involved to check the other health and safety company to double check that everything they're doing is correct and proper, and that and they're doing massive reviews in their business now, which I thought was really fascinating. So anyway, on that note, Ian, hi. Phil, hi. What did you think about that, what I just told you guys?
Yes, it is petrifying. I've gone through it, obviously, so I understand. With the sentence Gillian got, 18 years for being an hairdresser, not even on our company or organogram as the health and safety person. She was in a separate box as accounts, but the police obviously formed their own and presented it to the jury, which is more than petrifying.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I think recent exercise, there was only two pieces of evidence, solid evidence, that they produced in the whole trial. One of them was that organogram, which they made up themselves. So that's disprovable. And the other one was that bloody photograph, which was fake.
The infamous photograph.
Yeah. Other than that, what else did they bring? What else did they bring to the table?
Just hearsay, Phil. And as you know, we with the Zoom call that we had yesterday with the specialist solicitor, we are getting quotes to have an expert go to the tanker who will again confirm all the facts. The detectives have already confirmed that photograph is a fake, but there's a lot more evidence that we are going to glean from a new expert going to the tanker.
Yeah, and we did actually have a conference yesterday. It was almost an hour with Gillian's lawyer, who, and also Ian's lawyer. And it was interesting, and the knowledge they had in regards to the case was comforting in terms of moving it forward. In terms of other news, what else have we got going on at the moment?
Something of topic, Brad, and you mentioned it being late. Last night I was watching the late night news, and I saw Kemi Beganok, isn't? I forget, I can't pronounce the name properly. Yeah, he was talking about this Henry Nowak. It was heartbreaking. You know, I didn't know nothing about this until I was watching the news yesterday, and where it hit home with me, and it did bring a lump to my throat, with the knowledge that these police officers, when they turned up, they handcuffed him, and I've been handcuffed when we was found guilty. But the horror of knowing, and also, again, the same as Henry, both Gillian and I are innocent and were handcuffed. But to think that this poor young man was handcuffed when he was dying, it's just heart-rending.
Have you seen the video?
I haven't, Brad, no, but, you know, just with what I read on the news and watching that last night. But coming to the point also, Brad, where Kemi said the police jumped to conclusions.
They did.
And it's just the same in our case, isn't it? On that body cam footage where we've got the first two police officers who arrive at the scene again with their body cams running and conclude when they go up the yard to the car park, when they meet Sergeant Whittle, and say that they don't think that the men should have been in the tanker and they died of suspicious circumstances. And he, again, jumped to the conclusion that it was a confined space incident and he was going to hold the company accountable. Now, that's all well and good, guys. People make mistakes. But where I'm beating the drums is, it's the people above in higher office, like in our case, like just today, what's happening with us, who then don't rectify these mistakes by the younger PCs and hold them accountable. What they do is the cover for them. And so this allows these sort of things to keep happening, in my opinion. And they are doing, aren't they? We're finding in the news now, almost weekly, something of this nature that happens again. And I support the police. Young PCs need better training, but it's those above them who are continually, repeatedly covering for their mistakes. It's okay to have jumped to conclusions, but what about accountability?
Yeah, I've got something to say on that, Ian, Ryan, and I don't know how to articulate it. I don't think. Let me just try. You know, when you're a young police officer, you know, you get the governor above you, and you make some mistakes, and they always say, "Oh, don't worry about that. We'll sort it out at the office," or whatever it may be. When you get to something like your scale, and you've got a governor who was there on site, and then reports back saying this is the narrative, I think the cover up gets, you know, to a scale where basically, you know, I'm right, and this is basically it, and the juniors don't speak up, can't speak up because they get abused by other staff, and they want to keep their jobs, and in effect, basically that just follows through, because
called co-pilot syndrome.
it's called co-pilot syndrome, is it?
That what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a shame, isn't it? It's such a shame. As you know, Brad, my character, you know, I dress them down. People make a mistake. I can be arrogant. And let's have some arrogance from those above. But stop covering. Stop.
Yeah.
It's got to stop. This covering has to stop immediately after this case. And you know, again, I sympathise with Moll. I sympathise. My heart's broken for Henry's family, where they have to continue with that knowledge that this poor young man was handcuffed and he was bleeding to death It's so sad.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like, though, in all fairness, we mentioned about reform in the start of the conversation, is I don't like the ambulance chasers that are latching on the back of this, saying this is basically everything wrong with society. I guess you don't get a big case like this, so you can't really latch onto it. But this is a massive story, and it's just I just don't like it. You got Tommy Robinson, caused chaos in Southampton police station yesterday. And fair play to the guy. That guy can mobilize anybody. If you want an army, he's got it. But I just don't. I don't like the connotation that this is day to day. But the problem is this is epidemic in terms of how we are becoming the minority, and we are the not trusted ones. Just because someone of race and creed says racism, that's it. You get picked up immediately. Your tweets, texts, posts, whatever it may be, and that's basically what they're trying to promote. Saying, look at this.
Very complicated, though, isn't it? It's not straightforward.
No.
I mean, you can look at the way that the police handle themselves in this particular incident, and it doesn't go well, does it? Let's face it.
No.
But there are a lot of things at play. The racist part of it is at play for a kickoff. The human rights side of it is at play. The young officers are given a narrative at the time what happened, and the guy gives them a lot of bullshit. He was racially abused. Well, if you say stuff like that, you automatically, the police officers are going to be on a different footing. They're going to go down a different route. The fact that there's some guys clutching himself in the corner and going, "I can't breathe. I've been stabbed." They've got to try and pick their way through that without causing a race riot.
Yes,
Yeah. And there's
And you can see what happened at Manchester Airport.
Yeah.
I mean, that was disgraceful. It was disgraceful on all parts, basically. I mean, those two guys did kick off. They did smack that poor policewoman in the face and broke her nose at one point. So they were guilty of assault. But equally, you can't have a guy on the floor and stamp on his head. Which is what the policeman did.
No, and I don't condone no violence, Phil, and I've always stood up for them guys over that. The police officers, you say, Phil, which I was trying to say there, rudely interrupting. It's a police officer's job, isn't it, to pick their way through it, isn't it? This is why we employ the police, which you as an officer, and we want to be proud of our police, don't we? At the end of the day, we want to be proud of them.
Yeah. I mean, Ian, on that point, is the police should be there to investigate. Let's calm things down, and you go over there, that police officer should be dealing with you over there, isolate everybody, and then basically calm things down, and let's try and get to the facts as best as we can on the day, event, evening, whatever it may be. That's what should. Well,
yeah, you're right. But unfortunately, in the Greenfeeds case, our case, as you've explained there, that didn't even happen, did it? They didn't keep people. Nothing.
Clear as anything. It didn't happen. But yeah, Henry Novak, very, very tragic. He even got dragged along the floor by the police officer because he ended up in front of a car.
Is that right?
And there's lots of people there. Lots of people there. And he did say, "I've been stabbed," and the police said, "I don't think so, mate."
Oh no. Tragic.
Well, that's ridiculous, isn't it? That's totally ridiculous.
It is tragic.
But equally, some guy running down the street hanging onto half a chair, ready to lob it at a police officer, is equally ridiculous. And that's what happened, later on.
I agree. That should never happen. We should have respect for our police. Always have respect for them. But again, unfortunately, we've got a position right now where there's been so much police misconduct, and as in our case, which is what we're all talking about now, it's beyond belief in our case. And the still, as you know, the emails that I'm copying you guys in, the police still want to keep a lid on it. They resist and resist and resist all the way through, and it's appalling.
You know, so here's a question for you both. You're older than both. You're both older than me.
Thanks.
Is the yeah? Actually, you're doing well, Phil, for your age. To be honest. I was talked about that today, didn't I? I mentioned that to you today. I said to you, how much longer you got to
Have
live?
you got to live? Yeah, that's what he said.
I was talking to him about a business opportunity that I've got, and I said to him, how much longer have you got to live?
I said I wasn't planning on going anywhere. So
you got these people, these activists, and that sort of stuff, right? And even Elon Musk as well is saying we need a revolution in the UK. What's your thoughts on how that would look and how it would happen? Because I can't see it.
Well, we don't need a revolution.
Yeah.
We need people at the top, whether it be with the judiciary. But I'm sticking to the police, and that's the topic tonight.
Yeah.
We need, as I keep saying, better training. But people need to be held accountable if they've done something wrong. Stop. You know, the amount of apologies that I've had from the police where they say they're sorry that I'm dissatisfied and lessons will be learned, and all of these things. It's the same letters. They almost following a template.
Of course,
it's just a continuation of it.
Well, I think people like Musk should keep his pecker out, to be truthful. And I do see sort of like Farage as having his nose up Trump's backside. You know, I think he thinks Trump's, you know, the be all and end all. But I really do think, when I sit back and think about where we are in the UK, what our problems really are, we focus on the wrong thing. But we're pointed to focus on the wrong thing. Because if you think about it, we know the police force have been starved, the same as every other facet of social sort of like services has been starved over the last 14, 20, 25 years of funds. And we expect the police to be able to deal with riots like there were last night, you know, and there's like 6 police and like 2,000 people all chucking chairs at them, you know, and you think it's not working. And the reason it's not working is because of big business. Big business does not pay its way. That's why I see people posting, oh, you know, bloody people claiming pensions, state pensions. I've paid into my state pension for 70 odd years, even more than most people. It's not a benefit for me. I'm just getting some back from what I paid in. Some of them don't get anything back. They retire and within 12 months they're dead. You know, because it's such a shock to their system. And it's basically, if the likes of Amazon paid the tax that they should pay tax in this country, we would have enough funds to actually look after the social side of what we do every day. You know, we'd have money to sort out people who haven't got jobs and haven't got houses and things like that, and we'd never even feel it. But because there's a lack of funds everywhere and you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, that's when the disgruntled sort of like undercarriage goes, well, look at all these bloody people coming on boats, you know, we're putting them in hotels and blah, 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 blah. We're focusing on the wrong thing. There's not enough money in the system. That's why people look at pensions. That's why people look at, you know, people coming across in boats. People at the top who have got like 2 houses and, you know, they're MPs, you know, they're claiming for this, that and the other, subsidised drinks in the bar and all this bollocks. You know, it's they see it as an inequality, and it is an inequality, but it's an inequality because the people that should be paying taxes do not pay taxes, and we protect them because we go, oh, you know, they'll go elsewhere. Will they really? Will Amazon go elsewhere? I don't think so. Make them pay their bloody way. That's what I say. Bollocks to them.
Okay.
End of rant.
On that note, I'm just going to play a very brief clip. It's only 2 minutes. I don't normally do this on the Greenfeeds case, and it's a bit of a comedy sketch. It's only 2 minutes. I'm going to play that now. about a police officer, a police constable or a chief constable having to apologise all the time. And it's but it's very relevant. It's very relevant because
I know the word.
yeah, so I'm going to play that now.
To be joined by a member of the Chinese community as I apologise for using the phrase Chinese whispers. I appreciate that this is deeply offensive to the Chinese. I completely understand why they went totally mental. I'm delighted to be joined by a mental health campaigner to witness my apology for using the phrase they've gone mental. I can see some of you are surprised that I'm apologising, but no. Gone are the days when getting an apology out of me was like getting a fiver out of an Aberdonian, eh? I would like to apologise to the largest Aberdonian community, the Aberdonians. I do understand that Aberdonian feelings are important. I'm surprised, actually, that our diversity officer didn't make that clear to me. Honestly, sometimes around here it's like the blind leading the blind. I would like to apologise to Scotland's blind community. I hear your concerns, and I promise you they will not fall on deaf ears. I would like to apologise to the deaf community. I would like to say sorry. When I realised what I'd said, honestly, I had a fit. I apologise unreservedly to all of the epileptics in Scotland for my use of the word fit. I completely understand why you've got a bee in your bonnet. I would like to apologise to anyone connected with bees or the wider bee community. Bees indeed are a vital part of society. I tried my best to get to a statement that wouldn't offend anyone. I really did. But do you know, when me and my advisors get together, honestly, it's like two bald men fighting over a comb. I would like to apologise to Scotland's bald community, of which I am a member. I would like to apologise and exonerate myself. Chief, I'm sorry. Chief, you're forgiven. I was particularly pleased with my final apology because I could apologise and accept the apology at the same time. I do like to kill two birds with one stone. I would like to apologise to the entire avian community for my cruel and insensitive words. I'm sorry.
Questi giorni quando vieni il bel sole, la 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 la. On days like these when skies are blue and fields are green, I look around and think about what might have been, and then I hear sweet music float around my head as I recall the many things we left unsaid. It's on days like these that I remember singing songs and drinking wine while your eyes played games with mine. On days like these I wonder what became of you. Maybe today you're singing songs with someone new. I'd like to think you're walking by those willow trees, remembering the love we knew on days like these. It's on days like these that I remember singing songs and drinking wine while your eyes play games with mine. On days like these, I wonder what became of you. Maybe today you're singing songs with someone new. Questi giorni quando vieni il bel sole. La 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 la. La, 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 la.
Okay, we are back, and we're now finally going to be talking about Mike Maruniak, which is Dave Maruniak's son. Who Mike, my understanding is that he was in charge of his dad on the site, and there was a number of Maruniaks on there. There was Nicola and Jake. Is it Jake?
Yeah, Jack.
Jack. Okay, I was close. Okay, these are the solicitor's notes from when he was sworn in. So we're going to start here. Okay, Phil. I'll be Mike. Yeah. So you used to work for.
You used to work for Greenfeeds.
Yes.
Still?
No.
When did you stop? When did you stop?
Some point in 2017.
So in December
we're stopping already. Can I just interact there?
Okay, your number, whatever.
Yeah, you'll remember here again. I beg your pardon, it's my green tea. It was actually sacked in August 2017. I bet you, who was reading this out? Oh, this is John Harrison, isn't it? I bet you the defence never flagged this later or even brought it up. Yeah, he was sacked for smoking around the mixing tank on the very last day that the HSE came round.
Right.
So in December 2016, how long had you been working for the company?
Wow. Okay. His response is around 20 years. That's a long time.
What was it doing at the start?
It was a pig farm.
I
was mixing the feeds and putting them into tankers. Oh, it was a pig farm initially, though, wasn't it? It wasn't. He's jumped straight into the next business.
Yeah, that's strange, isn't it? Because it was looking after the pigs.
Well, they messed up on that, didn't they?
Carry on, Phil.
So why would you need unblocking?
Food would separate out and cause blockages.
How was the unblocking arranged?
This is interesting as well. The lorry would be weighed on weighbridge. It would come back of either reload or on occasion when it needed cleaning. It would mainly the office at the time, Gillian Leivers and Stuart Brown. What the hell does that mean? What, Gillian Leivers and Stuart Brown were going and clean it out?
No, I think it meant that they probably gave the instruction, being in the office at the time.
See, this is the thing, right? I hate the word reasonable, yeah, and a word like occasion.
What about before December 2016? Who was told?
Always come from the office, mainly Gillian Leivers and Stuart Brown.
Well, what about, do you remember here, what about Alex Fortune, Lance Leivers, myself, Aaron Shelley, Nicky Maruniak, and let's not forget, Mike Maruniak was the yard manager who was giving instructions out. In fact, I'll let you carry on. But yeah, interesting, isn't it? Let's see how many times he mentions Gillian Leivers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to count? Are you counting here?
The one thing that's really important for listeners is that no one takes accountability for anything. Everybody passes the buck, and they actually pass it not only up, but left and right as well to the fellow employees as well. But no one takes accountability. It's always someone else's job. You know, anyway, go on, you next.
Who would they instruct?
Okay, Robin Neve, I've done it. Sometimes the lorry driver.
How often did it need unblocking?
Can we just pause there? Though, right? All the lorry drivers we spoke to today, never any of them have said they would ever go into a tanker.
It's not the impression they gave, was it?
But this is basically where all the controversy comes from in this case. So basically, he's saying here, lorry drivers would actually go into tankers. Yet all the lorry drivers we spoke to thus far won't go into tankers. So this is what makes it so painful. And even my partner asked me, "How come you're talking about this series so long?" I said, they've made it so difficult, and you put it into a summary, Phil, in a message the other day, and it's very eloquent and simplified things. All we're talking about is a 90-minute window.
Yeah.
Okay, and go and carry on.
Who would they instruct?
Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah, Robin Neve, I've done it. Sometimes a lorry driver.
And how often did it need unblocking?
Every few months. At first, it wasn't so bad when the pig feed, and then they started using more material like pasta that was more solid based and more blockages.
Ian, what's this pasta they're on about?
Pasta were fantastic material, but more importantly, how did these phantom blockages stop immediately after the murders when I continued for 4 more years? Because I used more pasta than ever before, and all this information was passed over to Kennedy's Law solicitors. All the invoices, every bit of material that we used was passed over.
What did they do with that?
You know the answer.
I just had to say it, that's all. Okay. So as more blockages, they needed more unblocking.
Every few months at first. No, sorry, I'm on the wrong bit. Yes, basically, sorry, I'm pleasure.
How unblocked?
It involves someone going in with. See, this is another thing. My days. It involves someone going in with a pressure washer to clean out. Where most of the statements suggest that everything was done from the lid, the hatch, or whatever you want to call it.
How often would someone be required to go into a tanker?
Every few months, but got more and more as product changed. By 2016, it was getting quite regular. They wanted more pasta, Romenko, which settled at the bottom. Do you know something else that Steve Hunt said to me? The lobes would be changed roughly every 8 months. Do you remember, who is not bipartisan whatsoever, what do you say about that anyway?
Well, to be honest with you, Brad, that is true. But there's something very important here when they mention Romenko, because we only used 1 load in 2016.
Yes.
Second load was bought in actually the night before the deaths, and so it wouldn't have been tipped or used. So if there was only 1 load in 2016, well, firstly, it never caused a problem, because in 2017, and for 4 years afterwards, I took the entire contract on and could have used a load every week, a load every fortnight, and nobody ever went into a tanker. But we did have an incident in 2017, and I spoke to Jake about this today. There's a video of this product. You've heard Steve Hunt, and you've told me what he said to you, Brad, about this mineral element of it. And he's also stated that the meal and molasses material that I took from Romenko was fantastic. Now, this mineral element was what they put a small amount into the buckets, these licks. Well, firstly, they'd never empty any buckets, and I sold all those on, and the receipts was passed over to Kennedy's Law.
What happened to them?
You know the answer, Phil. And anyway, in 2017, I'm not sure if Gillian and I had been on holiday, but we got back and all of a sudden there was all hell let loose with this mineral product. And Jake was saying, Ian, it's all this, Remenko, it's all this mineral. And he brought a sample up to the office and it was just pure mineral, not even the small amount that they put into the buckets. It was a skip come full. And there's a video clip of it. I've asked for him today. And there was dust all over the shed of just mineral. Anyway, I went straight over to Remenko and saw the manager. And he said to me that the lorry driver told him, because it's not product that we normally took, that he could put it into the skip. And this was Steve Hunt.
When you say mineral, is it a liquid?
No, it was just like gritty mineral. You know, it was like he's described it. But what happened, Phil, he had it put into the load to contaminate it. And when it was tipped, and they are right, because Jake also mentioned it was Rob Bowman who I brought in to assist because it was very close to the Maruniacs to stop them sabotaging my machinery. It was he who asked Steve Hunt to take it down the yard to tip it. But it was just pure mineral, so it was no good to me. But also, and you've sent them, Brad, Lee Marshall, because some went into some loads. But again, you know, all this pure mineral is talking about, a skip full of it, right? Just unbelievable. But did anybody go into a tanker? No. Now, Lee Marshall, Brad, and we have that photograph, he took this almost artist photograph, if you remember it, of the bottom of the tank with this mineral across the bottom. We've all seen it. I think he sent 17 photographs. This was them intentionally trying to cause me a problem in 2017 to get someone into a tanker. But as I say, I went over to Remenko. The manager will confirm this in time when a statement's needed from him. And this was an act of sabotage.
Yeah. The next question, which is coming up, is quite interesting. I've just read it.
These more often.
At least once a month. Now, we've gone through these various witness statements, right? At least there's an identifiable figure there, yeah? He said at least once a month. Everybody says sometimes, occasional, but he's actually said once a month here.
Yeah, occasionally they throw in a very, very accurate response in to make you think, blimey, he really can remember this stuff. But in actual fact, they're all suffering from selective memory. Most of the time they'll go, "Oh, it's been 5 years. I can't remember. I can't remember. It's been such a long time. I can't remember." There were several lorry drivers. What were their names? Oh, I can't remember. She knew there were several lorry drivers, but I didn't know their names.
This is the bit that always stuck in my mind is the scant disregard for health and safety, right? But no one could identify how many times they went in tankers, when they went in tankers, and in some respects, if I be brutally honest, if they ever went into tankers. And now he's given a figure here. It's the first time since we've been doing this series, at least once a month. Robin Neve, I mean, I'm not joking. It was a joke, that statement. He's given a figure here at least once a month. Now, I go back to what I previously said, and which is my biggest frustration, is that question is allowed to just end there, right? So what I would then say, if I were counsel, and I'm not a lawyer, as I've always said, going by some of your haters' posts, I'm just a fat bastard. But the point being, what should have happened here is that, okay, fine, let's examine this issue at least once a month. Was there specific times, specific weeks? Was it related to weather or a specific product coming in? Was there more pasta than less pasta? Also, who would be responsible? Is it any and all this sort of stuff? but it's just allowed to be left like that, which is so not fair. And and then you go back to the previous statement up here. It says mainly in the office at the time, Gillian Leivers and Stuart Brown, as Ian just mentioned there, multiple names that were in the office. And it's just mainly. What does mainly mean? Is it all the time? And why would you need to go to them all the time? If this was happening once a month and you've been there for 20 years, I mean, I'd give you a slap if you come to me all the time. If this was regular business, if this was status quo, it's like someone asking for a timesheet. You need to fill in the timesheet every week, whatever you do that. Why would you need to go into the office? And honestly, the Mariniacs themselves isolated themselves, didn't they?
They did.
From the actual office.
But it was never on the timesheet, Brad, that they filled in weekly, was it?
I've seen them. Phil sent them to me. Yeah. There's nothing, and there actually is some quite interesting comments on some of them as well, where they did different work.
The main difficulty with where we're talking now is you never can tell whether they're talking about Gordon or whether they're talking about the Swan Net. You never can tell. Most of the time, he's actually talking about the Swan Net.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, did he not tell you, Brad? You told me that he said that he'd never seen anybody in a tanker before, but he was the only lorry driver that was in and out of the yard all day because he was on the skips. He would never go out with a tanker, and he'd be at Lawrence, at Newark, twice a day. He'd be down to Wisbeach and back. He'd be over to Burton to remain coming back. So he's the person that's in the yard all day, every day, having access to the mixing shed to tip. But he'd never seen anybody in a tanker, apart from he said, didn't you tell me he said that he thought he'd seen Robin Neve in the Swan Neck, but that one, you stand in it and it's your waist out of it and your whole body's out of the tanker.
That's right, yeah. Stuart Brown was still there. And Stuart Brown said he made sure that if Stuart Brown went for a pee, that somebody stood in for Stuart Brown to make sure that Nathan was all right, or Robin was all right, sorry. Yeah. Which is a load of bollocks. I don't believe any of it. I really don't.
But it mortifies me, if I'm perfectly honest, to think that someone intentionally entered that tanker.
And the reason I don't believe any of it is for the next bit we're going to read now.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah.
To clear it out, it just makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. Okay, go on, you go.
Were you aware of any gas in there?
Nothing really. That's why they did it as a biogas plant. The company started selling biofuel.
We've never sold biofuel in any of my tankers. That's the biggest lie ever told in this court. I sold biofuel. I sold pig feed.
This is outrageous. Outrageous.
I knew it was a good one. Selling biofuel. What a load of rubbish. I mean, effectively, what the actual product that Ian had in his tankers was a good feed for people who were producing biofuels and producing power off the back of them. But he didn't produce a biofuel.
So that was an overt lie, basically, right?
Oh, just slightly.
Well, but it also went on to say instead of just pig feed. So he's trying to say there was two products.
Yeah, it wasn't pig feed. I mean, and then you can see them all sat there with their mouths open, can't you? They're swallowing this bollocks,
Yeah, but if I sold biofuel, that's a liquid that I used to run trucks on. I used to make about 200 litres that we ran our trucks on into the Scanias, and I had full warranty. So,
yeah, because there was an issue.
Morris, you're not going to go in a tanker, are you?
The
is what's
so
cracked back
have you
from
got
rubber, isn't it?
a single sales receipt in Greenfeeds of you selling biofuel?
Pardon, Brad, say again, sorry.
Have you got a single sales receipt in
Yes,
Greenfeeds?
yeah. We had
of-
a sales sheet which I had to meet the parameters checked by the trading standards.
No, you've not listened to my question. The have you got a sales receipt of you selling to another third party biofuel?
No, not to buy it. No, not at all. It was always my one product that I sold. Always the same.
You did sell to anaerobic digesters, though, didn't you?
It's still always Greenfeeds confectionery blend.
Correct.
Yeah.
But this is where they're getting confused. This is where they don't even know the market that they're talking about.
Well,
this is where they get confused.
There should not have been no confusion, Phil. My wife's got life for this.
I mean, as far as they're concerned, they're confused. They don't know the market. They think that biofuel is a completely different product to the pig feed that you were running. In actual fact, you never did run anything other than pig feed, did you?
Correct.
But they call it this biofuel because it went to an anaerobic digester. For the anaerobic digester, it was fuel for producing power.
Yeah, police actually contacted one of my customers at Colwick in Nottingham and tried to insinuate this, and he put them straight. It is what you do with the product. It's the process that makes gas.
No, I suppose we could always go to Sam Rabbage and ask her, did she do a method of risk assessment? But then again, she didn't know the tankers existed in the first place. I'm being facetious.
No, yeah.
All right, let's carry on.
So, were you ever told not to go in?
Again, this is an interesting one. He replies, no, but were you ever asked to go in?
Hang on, Dad. His dad, Dave Maruniak, said this wouldn't have happened if he was down there. They only died because it happened in the mixing shed. So if they did it outside, where did they get the pressure washer hose from? Where was it?
Happened if Steve Hunt had been there.
Was it out on the block?
Yeah, it's a good point, actually.
It wouldn't have happened if Steve Hunt had been there, would it?
And Steve Hunt said the same thing as well.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
How would it be cleaned?
Open the FF tap at the. Oh wow. Oh, okay. Free flow tap at the back. See if anything comes out. Then go on up and start flushing through the free flow. So he's still on top at this point, by the looks of it.
He's on the bottom.
It's a problem, though, Brad. Have we got a problem with the lobes? Because the product never had a problem. It went through 10 mil holes. It was a fine smoothie. So what on earth could block?
But in this juror, in this here, he's saying here, open the free flow tap at the back here.
Yeah.
See if anything comes out.
Yeah.
Then go up and start flushing through the free flow, right? So I'm guessing what that means is that he's standing on top of the tanker, putting a jet wash in, right? Go from the top and start flushing from the top, washing it back, and also open up one and see if it starts flowing free. He doesn't mention the end to this tanker.
Oh, wait, carry on. It does. He talks of a method there, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I think he's still on the. I think he's still on the ground. I think what he's talking about is he's jetting up the free flow, not actually going up the side of the tanker.
But I still don't know to this day what the problem is with my product, because all the loads went out and all the farmers had the product. I wouldn't have run a successful business to pay their wages if we was having problems. And to add to that, I had the best trucks you could purchase, Scanias, V8s even. And on the day of the murders, 2 brand new JCBs arrived. How did I do all this if I was having problems? You know, because if I can't sell my product and my farmer was having blockages, the business wouldn't have existed, would it?
it actually goes. Actually, in my reading of that, Phil, he's on top of the tanker by this point, but then he, the next question answers give another answer.
Well, I would have thought if you opened the free flow valve and nothing came out, then you would flush up the free flow valve
Yeah,
before you actually got up the side of the tanker.
But again, what is this event? Because it never happened. It's a story.
Oh yeah, of course. But it's written down here, so that's why you're getting it.
Okay.
Does that need someone to go inside?
Yeah, have to go inside as baffles inside. Oh, so he's talking about Gordon here then.
Oh, he's talking about Gordon because that's the only one.
Not necessarily.
Ah.
Because the Swan Neck has got baffles in it as well. We know that.
It has, but they're not baffles, Phil. You've got to, they're arches, and there's about 8 of them going down the tanker. So if there's any liquid in, you're swimming.
Mm. But you can't be sure what tanker he's talking about, can you?
Yeah.
Well, I do talking about.
And you only had four tankers, right, Ian?
3.
3. Oh.
Yeah, 3 I was running, but I'd always have a spare. In fact, I'd have 5. I'd always have a couple of spares. I purchased 2 brand new tankers, and they was before 2000. I purchased 2 afterwards, but I purchased 2 brand new tankers in 2003, 2004. They were Clayton tankers, just single open tankers, 1 lid.
So he says, if someone inside, what are they using?
Pressure washer and shovels.
All shovels.
Yeah, it's plural as well.
And what they were doing with the shovel of load of whatever it was they had.
Did they have a bucket then? Because if they had a shovel, how did they get it out?
Well, one of the witnesses said, I can't remember who it was, Ian, you may be able to help me out, said that they used buckets and lifted it through the hatch at the top.
That was the famous photograph, wasn't it? We were talking about the famous photograph.
Lee Marshall, Brad, when he rang you, you told me that he told you that.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the thing, right? I got criticised for recording various phone calls, right? Because I don't normally record phone calls. But because we've got someone in jail, and we've got so many people lying, and in the end, after the first couple of phone calls, I'm thinking, this is evidence that can be used to get Gillian out of jail, and then your mates. I know they're not your mates, but then the people that hate on you started attacking me.
The ones who killed the man.
I don't know, to be honest, but and they started attacking me for recording phone calls. But if that's crucial evidence. I was thinking, I cannot believe what I'm hearing here. And that's why I started recording them. I'm thinking, no way, this needs to go to the CCRC. Because Gillian shouldn't be in jail, and then I got hate on that. But anyway, I don't really care about all that crap, man. They can hate on me all they like. Some of it I quite enjoy, to be fair.
Anyway, anyone else there?
Yes, Stuart Brown.
Hang on, we just missed a bit there. It's the juror member. Can I just say, we know incident of 2212. Had you seen Nathan in tanker before? And then he went.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I can reply to that. Yes, a couple of weeks before. He's only been there like 4 weeks, though, isn't it? Can't be exact on dates.
This is it. See, they can't remember when comes to some specifics.
Yeah, but no, I can kind of get that, right? I can kind of get the dates. But one thing that I've and this is me not being derogatory, but where they reference him as 20 pence Nathan, and I could never understand that. I thought they used it as that he's like really thick, something like that. But my understanding is the story goes as this, Ian, is that he asked for a 20 pence pay rise to go into tankers.
An hour.
And it's a story made up to make it sound plausible.
Because it doesn't, yeah, that's it. Yeah, 20 pence per hour extra to go into tankers, but it doesn't even make any sense either. This is how stupid these people are. Who goes to their boss, says, I want an extra 20p per hour if I'm going in a tanker. How long would you, if you did go into a tanker, would you be in a tanker like 10 minutes? And you're going to run, what, 1p?
I just don't know why you'd ever need to go in, as I keep saying. There's nobody today. And again, to support what I say, how come nobody went in for 4 years after?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they could say that there's a plausible argument is that you change your procedures.
Yes, I had more Romenko and more pasta.
How come nobody died in the 11 years before?
Exactly. That's the key point, Phil. That's the key one that I'd latch onto. It's the fact that you didn't have disposable employees, and because you'd need lots of them if as soon as they entered a tanker, on occasion or whatever, they'll be dead. And that's the key point, which is what I'd latch onto.
Actually, let's go to that. This is excellent.
What's that? Sorry, Ian.
If you go to the next page, then.
Top of the page, Stuart Brown backed the lorry in.
So he's now saying then that it was backed in the mixing shed, but they didn't die because Dave Maruniak said that they died because it was done in the mixing shed, and had he been there, he'd have had it done outside. So they didn't die.
So Stuart Brown drove the lorry, did he?
Yeah, according to this, he's saying Stuart Brown. He's talking about, I believe, this event that apparently took, which he can't remember, earlier. But later in the trial, we discovered when this apparently happened was the 14th of November, because Stuart Brown said he did it because Dave Maruniak wasn't there that day. So we got home from the court that night, checked the dates. It was the 14th of November. And Gillian and I was over in Spain for my father's birthday, and I sent them a video clip of the firework going out on his cake.
It says here, Stuart Brown backed lorry in. Did Stuart Brown drive lorries?
He did, yeah. He's a lorry driver. Very experienced man. Very highly. 40 years in the business. Operations director for LEVIERS, 70 odd men, 42 tankers.
Yeah. Said I've got to go back to the office for a sandwich. Came back, and that's when I saw Nathan in tank. He was sat blasting the feed.
This green goddess at the front, because you guys saw it when you went to the yard, using the pressure washer from the lid, like he's saying. It was sat blasting the feed. Well,
it wasn't Gordon then.
Yeah, you can't be inside Green Goddess, can you? Because of all those baffles going down. And he saw him. So that means he sat on the lid, blasting the feed.
Yeah.
From the outside.
Yeah, so it wasn't Gordon, was it?
No, it was Green Goddess. It was identified by Stuart Brown.
Yeah, there's going to be so confusing for the jury, this is.
So on the 22nd, you'd left to go shopping.
Yes.
Who were the managers?
Gillian Leivers, Stuart Brown. It's interesting it mentions her name first. Stuart Brown, Ian Leivers, Lance Leivers.
Who had most involvement day-to-day running of the company?
Gillian Leivers, because Ian wasn't much there. Is that true, Ian?
Well, what about Lance then, my co-director?
Yeah.
And what about himself, the yard manager?
The next.
What about the fact that Gillian wasn't there for half the flipping year?
The
Who
next,
ran it then?
The next response is quite interesting, actually. The next question. Go on to the next question.
How often did Ian Leivers come to the site?
Once per week. Sometimes more regularly.
I was there every day, unless I went out on business. I didn't have factories that I was getting every day of the week. I might have won that year, which Alex and I did, Coca-Cola. You know.
So you're there every day?
Yeah. I did 35,000 miles a year, but I wasn't on the road every day going to factories. I'd got contracts and the contracts were there. And you've just got to look at the periods. You know, there was annual contracts. There might be 3-year contracts, and I might have had a dozen blue chip companies that I was collecting from. So where would I be? In my office upstairs, or in the workshop with Tim Walker.
Once a week.
So when he came to site, did he have anything to do with him?
I just want to go back to this actually. Right. Again, it goes back to questions that are left out. So, you know, my question would be, so he's there once a week, sometimes more. How long for? And stuff like that, you know, and what would Ian do? I know this next question, it doesn't answer much more, but again, it's just left that in 20 years, right, during that time, right, you're progressing a business, building a business, expanding a business, right? How often would Ian Leivers come to site? Once a week? I mean, if I was the defense for Ian Leivers, that's a great answer, right? But when you're expanding a business and that sort of thing, you're in it, you know, for hours on end. Then there's no way you can achieve what Ian achieved by being there just once a week. It's left as if the status quo was it's once a week. Why not go back 20 years ago and say how often was he there then? And did it progressively digress where he was no longer interested in running the business and that sort of stuff? So you can create a theme of understanding, but it's left so open once a week, sometimes more regularly. And it goes on after this anyway, because this is going back to what you said, Phil. Anyway, go and answer, say the question.
What's it now? Oh, right. How often did he come to site? Once a week, sometimes more regular.
When he came
to site, anything to do with him?
Yeah, he'd come to site to see you, mainly go to fitting shed. I think that means feeding shed.
Tim Walker.
Yeah.
See the engineers.
So I'd go to site to see Mike Maruniak, because he was my yard manager, and I'd never heard of anybody going into a tanker before, yet I'm specifically seeing him. And Dave Maruniak said I shout if anybody went into a tanker.
Yeah. It goes on to say here, after the accident, he'd come down a lot more. Carry on, Phil.
Before the accident, did Ian Leivers have anything to do with running the company?
Yes. See, the next question there would be, like, what? You know?
The original position was as a feed mixer. Did your position change?
Yes. Foreman manager. Well, call it manager.
What year?
2016. Is that true, Ian?
Oh, yeah. I think he was made manager before then, but it's clearly stated here as a manager. Well, call it manager. But a bit further up the sheet there, it says, who were the managers? Gillian Leivers, Stuart Brown, Ian Leivers, Lance Leivers. Okay. Now he's confirming that he's the manager.
I've just looked at the next question. Go on, Phil.
Were you in charge of the yard and what went on?
No. That's just basically realised what you just said there.
Why not in charge?
You imagine that sequence of he's realised what he just said there. Yes, foreman manager. Well, call it manager. And then he said, yeah, were you in charge and what went on? He said, no. He's abandoned the fact that he was a manager because he's realised then, I can imagine this on the stand, he's sweating at this point of what he just said.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's realised that he's openly said he's a manager, foreman manager, well, call it manager. So he removed the word foreman.
They've actually put it in brackets, haven't they, where he said, well, manager for that reason.
Yeah.
Didn't help get Gillian found not guilty, though, did it?
Okay, this gets interesting as well.
So why not in charge?
You have Stuart Brown in charge, and you have lorry drivers saying Gillian Leivers and Ian Leivers telling us to do something. Oh, my days. Oh, my days.
This is highly believable, isn't it? I mean, I totally believe this. not. So what did your job change to?
I don't want to abandon that issue of what we just mentioned there, yeah, because we've only got a couple of minutes to the break. You have Stuart Brown in charge, right? Okay, that's a tick, right? That's openly accepted, even on the company structure, which I don't really have an issue with, but you do. And you have a lorry driver saying, Gillian Leivers and Ian Leivers telling us to do something. What does something mean?
Well, people to get into tanks, probably.
Yeah, but the interaction between the day-to-day business, it seems to operate itself pretty much. And what Ian set up was the infrastructure for the business to make it operate, and Gillian just did the accounts, making sure the money worked, so everybody got paid and all that sort of stuff. The just telling us to do something, and I don't understand. You know, me personally, I would say, what do you mean by something? And you expand on it. You know, the trial was booked for how long, Ian?
8 weeks.
And it ended in how long?
I think it was 20 working days.
So that's 4 weeks.
And there was a lot of legal jargon in those days as well, where out of court, where it was barristers discussing things.
So there are plenty of time to expand on this. He's there 20 years. He's a legacy employee. And that's just allowed to be left like that. It really disgusts me. Anyway, we need to go to a break. Phil, Ian, who wants to do the next song?
Let's have Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
And
Swift.
I Knew You Were Trouble.
You're talking about me there, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, let's play that now.
Once upon a time, a few mistakes ago, I was in your sights. You got me alone. You found me. You found me. You found me. I guess you didn't care, and I guess I like that. And when I felt hard, you took a step back. Without me, without me, without me. And he's long gone when he's next to me, and I realize the blame is on me. 'Cause I knew you were trouble when you walked in, so shame on me now. Flew me to places I've never been, till you put me down. Oh, I knew you were trouble when you walked in, so shame on me now. Flew me to places I've never been. Now I'm lying on the cold hard ground. Trouble, trouble, trouble. Trouble, trouble, trouble. No apologies, he'll never see you cry. Pretends he doesn't know that you never loved me, or her, or anyone, or anything. I knew you were trouble when you walked in. So shame on me now, flew me to places I've never been. So you put me down. I knew you were trouble when you walked in. So shame on me now, flew me to places I've never been. Now I'm lying on the cold hard ground. Trouble, trouble, trouble. Trouble, trouble, trouble. I knew you were trouble when you walked in. Trouble, trouble, trouble. I knew you were trouble when you walked in. Trouble, trouble, trouble. Dreamcatcher Radio.
Dreamcatcher Radio is about capturing and creating dreams through music, chat, and debate. Empowering expression, enriching society. A go-to place for unsigned musical talent. A radio station which listens to its audience. Free speech, vibrant, engaging. Stream worldwide 24/7. Events, competitions, promotions. Always keen to have a listening ear. Contact us. hello@dreamcatcherradio.com.
Dreamcatcher Radio.
We are back. So let's just carry on in relation to the solicitor's notes from the hearing of Mike Muniak when he was on the stand giving his best truths.
So what did your job change to?
Still constantly mixing, but also trying to help the other lads with other problems.
Did you manage yard stuff?
Okay, jeez. He says yes. All right, let's go backwards again. He said yes, former manager. Well, call it manager. Then he immediately goes on to were you in charge of the yard and what went on? No. And now he said yes. I know he doesn't mention the word yard, but the yard, in terms of like buildings and stuff like that, you know, he was never in charge of, you know, the maintaining buildings. Yard would be staff, wouldn't it?
Well, it's just no, it's specifically asking that, but it says, did you manage yard staff? Yes.
Yeah, but okay, I'm trying to complicate something here, right? The to make it simple, right? Basically, he says in his previous comment, I was former manager, well, call it manager. Were you in charge of the yard? That's probably the wrong question, but anyway, that, you know, I'm trying to give him some relief. And he then says, no. And then he goes on to say, did you manage staff? He managed his own dad anyway, you know. And then he says, yes. The business infrastructure was managed by you, Ian. But this is what I'm saying. In this short one question, go on.
Next question is, did you manage your dad? And he says no.
He's laughing. He's laughing on the stand, saying no.
Glad you found something to laugh at.
Go on. Yeah, I mean, it could be humorous, I guess.
Your son?
Laughing says no. We worked together as a team, tried our best to help each other out.
Procedure described going into tankers. Did that change when your title changed as yard manager?
Yeah, he says no.
Has it ever changed?
No. So obviously, right, okay, this is where it gets so fucked up for me. Pisses me off, right? So basically, what happened on that night then? If the procedure was always the same, how did two people suddenly die that night?
An event happened, obviously.
That's a question for both of you. How,
Well,
if the procedure that he's insisting was regular on occasion and all that sort of stuff, what happened that night to make two people fucking die?
well, his dad said that it wouldn't have happened if they did it outside. But it's just this was the police's job, Brad, as we discussed at the start of this episode. They failed, haven't they? They failed badly.
Ian, I don't agree with that assertion because the size of that shed in relation to the tanker, right? If you look at square meterage and that sort of stuff, ventilation and that sort of thing, right? The shed is massive.
Yeah, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just reiterating what his dad said. I just don't know why they died. All I do know is recently we've discovered that they was paying cash in hand to a Michael Wayne Darwin, and he was a violent man. And I'm saying he's got something to do with this. My opinion.
But in this, me personally, right, Phil, right, you being a police, did you ever interview suspects in that, Phil, as a police
Lots of times, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So me here, right, the in here, right, in this short little section here, there's so many contradictions just by himself, and it's allowed to just continue.
Well, yeah, they sort of wove a really complicated story, didn't they? It was almost impossible to unravel it, really, from one nut job to another.
That's my frustration, and that's one of the reasons why there's so many series, because you've just issued to the CCRC yourself, which I admire you for, all the contradictions you've learned to date to try and help Gillian in her application, which is already processed anyway. But how many did you get to in the end? How many did you submit, Phil?
It's only 65.
65. That's a massive amount, isn't it?
And do you remember the solicitor, the lawyer, told us on the Teams meeting on Monday that
he only needs one.
Just one.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, he can take his pick then, can't he? But I know for a fact there's at least 3 people committed criminal offences within those 65 points. There are 3 people that have committed criminal offences in this case, additional to whatever they're trying to pin on Gillian. So what are they going to do about that?
Well, time will tell. I've got patience.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, where are we at now?
So the procedure described going into tankers, did that change when your title changed as yard manager?
No.
Has it ever changed? No.
No.
Who showed you how to do it?
Can't remember. It was first. Sorry.
Yeah, memory's gone. Memory's gone again, see?
Yeah. Can't remember. It was first when I was 18. Ian and Gillian first asked me because it was then running the farm. Can't remember which one mentioned cleaning out the tanker as very directly and needed to collect red diesel. Now,
what on earth is that in there? What on earth is that what I've just read? Collect red diesel.
Yeah.
Well, the diesel suppliers always bought the diesel in little 4-wheel wagons. Peak was the first one I used to purchase myself. So way back when I was farming, absolutely bizarre.
Were you feeding red diesel to your pigs? Is that what we're saying?
Well, when I was running a pig farm, we wasn't making the confectionery blend. I was picking up beer from breweries, taking it direct to farms, yogurt from yogurt factories, direct to farms. So What is he talking about? I'm totally. I give it.
I think he's on drugs here. What equipment?
Yeah, I just want to go back to
Answer the question.
yeah, no. The the thing is, I'm so angry, right? Because it says here, right? So who showed you how to do it? Can't remember. Ian or Gillian when I was at 18. Gillian wasn't even there.
No, not at all. Had a small farm.
There's no correlation. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's just. I hate reading this stuff, Ian. It pisses me off like anything because it winds me up. Because this is so wrong. This is so wrong how this is allowed to be a even vaguely a suitable line of questioning, and it allowed that Gillian be mentioned when he was 18. She was in the business.
Mm.
You know, it's like she's a legacy employee as well.
Mm.
It fucking pisses me off.
So what equipment?
Yeah. This gets even worse, man. A visor. Not appropriate as acid gave off fumes, which get behind visor. I mean, all right, okay, I'm going to have to say it, right? What sort of pleb, right, would allow him to work in an environment where there's fumes all the time and they expect a visor? He doesn't even talk about dust masks or anything like that, or anything. Doesn't even describe, you know, gloves or anything or any PPE. And he just says, here, you are a pleb, Mike Riminiak, right? You really are. And, you know, the what can I say? What can I say? I feel right. In all honesty, of all the people that you met, right, ignoring the jury member here today, right, most people, right, in your experience, want to go home safely and go to work safely. Yeah.
Yep.
Money is not everything, is it, Phil?
Definitely not.
And these people are being paid the best wages. That's what they talk about. But you still want to basically go to work safely and come home safely, come home clean, tidy, as best as you can. I know, obviously, in that sort of environment, it's a bit smelly and that sort of stuff, or was it uncomfortable? I think the words was, wasn't it?
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, but the fact that it says what equipment, visor, that's all you get. Ian, jury member, did you only give out visors?
I don't recall ever purchasing.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Visors, maybe goggles, but visors.
No.
For welders, isn't it?
Yeah, Tim had his own visor.
But yeah, I've got enough self-respect for myself to basically demand that you provide this stuff. If I was in the workplace saying I ain't doing it, I need this, and this. I know at the age of 18 you probably don't want to speak up, but in all honesty, you go back home and talk to, saying, look, this is what I'm dealing with.
Well, he was only mucking pigs out at 18. I wasn't making the confectionery blend at 18. My tankers was up in Cheshire. I based them up in Cheshire. There was at Meadow Foods. Tankers based there. Perry Cartwright's was the only lorry at that time back at base, and he was using it for skip work. No tankers ran from my farm at all. There was in Cheshire.
Ian, just out of interest, how old was he at the time of him being on the stand?
Oh, crikey. So, from 18, it was he about 40, something like that. I believe him about 40-year-old.
Right, okay. What was he like to deal with anyway on a day-to-day basis?
He wasn't the most intelligent, but he would get on with the mixing. He'd tell the lads what to do. they'd meet with him in the morning. He'd set them out debagging chocolate or putting the Polish workers feeding the can crushing plant. Obviously, he'd set on his mother to debag chocolate and his wife to debag chocolate, and Michael Wayne Darwin, who I've recently discovered was working for Cash in Hand.
Yeah.
They were nicking most of it and flogging it.
Well, as I said, I had Arctic loads of all sorts of material I purchased over the years, so there'd be a lot of material, which, yeah, there was some cash in hand work.
Yeah, I think it's the nature of the business, really. You allow for that, don't you?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
It was business. It was just business.
Yeah. Okay, here you go, Phil. Do you know?
Do you know why fermenting was a problem?
No, it's like yeast reacting.
So if you're making bread, then do you need a visor on? If your yeast rising, it throws me.
Well, a visor would do nothing, Ian. It would
No.
do nothing. Yeah. It's there to
We're referring to formaldehyde here. Is that what we're on about?
Now then, Phil, yes. They wore gauntlets and had a visor for the formaldehyde, but it's not been made clear, has it? Now you say that, but we're not talking about it here. We're talking about yeast.
So you did provide visor.
I didn't have formaldehyde back when I was 18 because I wasn't making the confectionery blend. I didn't start doing that until about 2003, 2004. So when he was mucking pigs out, there was no formaldehyde.
No, his brain's flitting from year to year here, I think.
Yeah. Well,
this really is.
This is the downside of it. Really, is that the barristers have really, even let themselves down in personally, unless this is their strategy, just crack on. They've not.
Well, you don't know whether he's talking, which tanker he's talking about. You don't know what bloody year he's talking about. You don't know which business he's talking about. 1 minute he's raising pigs, next minute he's producing feed, and then he's selling biogas, biodiesel, whatever it is.
Red diesel.
Red diesel.
Yeah. Ian, what's the phrase that you use? This is the most case? How do you call it? How do you describe it?
Of justice this country has ever witnessed.
Yeah. I mean, this is an injustice. This is also a case of where, where barristers have got things basically so wrong. I mean, and the last episode, I think it was, not the one before last, sorry. So where the questions were really good from the barristers, but they just moved on. And I don't get it. I don't understand what the urgency was not to, let's expand on that. I'm known for saying, okay, I've got one more question, right? And then I'm like Columbo. I see, I've got one more. And they just left it. They just left it. And that's what I don't get. So it's not only an injustice on Gillian and also the victims, but also the fact that the court and the barristers, police, and have basically let everybody down. Really have a HSE as well. Pretty much all the stakeholders, and the just to allow this, because from our listeners' perspective as well, I get so many questions, and we do answer them as best as we can. But they're saying, and most of the question, in all honesty, that we get is, how is this possible? That's the main sort of question we get emailed in. How is this even possible? Because I'm talking, complete layman terms, because I'm a layman. And they're saying, this can't be right. But this is what happened. That this was allowed to happen in a Crown Court case, and you'd think, that's the superior of basically justice. But anyway, you just have to accept it happens. And this poor woman is in jail. Anyway, now Phil, you're next.
Any instruction ever on preparing nicks?
How is this possible? It says no, it's already there. What does that mean?
Does it mean I originally told him? Now, we're moving forward now to making the confection. Let's assume now then we're moving on to 2003 and he's no longer mucking pigs out.
Yeah. No, I get that bit.
So he's saying no, it's all this. So obviously I told him what mix to make, and from thereafter they did a fantastic job.
So basically, you gave them a menu.
Yes.
But he said here, he didn't have that. The mix was already there.
What liquid ingredients were put into the mix?
Fizzy drinks, cake, bread, pasta, flamenco, mince pies, sweets, real mix.
Oh, a real mix, all right. High energy, that wasn't it. Let me firstly,
flamenco is not a product.
The fizzy in the drinks obviously wasn't there, whether it came in by tanker, because there'd be no carbon dioxide in the drinks. And equally, when it's gone through the can crushing plant, there's no more carbon dioxide in the drink. So it's drinks with sugar, cake, bread, pasta flamenco, mince pies, fantastic, sweets, brilliant, sugar. And there's some real mix. There's some real mix as well.
What is real mix? Just out of interest.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, fine. I thought it was a product. Okay.
It's different to the pretend mix.
All right. Okay. Fine. All right.
Who was responsible? I wonder if this is your. No,
there was a bloke at the start, but he left. But then let's go backwards, right? Go backwards, right? All right. So, any instructions ever preparing mix? No, it was already there. The mix was already there. Yeah. Then he goes on to explain what the mix is, and he's does the mixing and that sort of stuff, and then there's a bloke there at the start, but he left. So there was a structure, but oh, geez. Okay, going on. Did you?
Did your sister work on site?
Yes, Nikki Johnson. She's a fucking legend. She is, isn't she? All those text messages, disgusting.
Yeah, as far as you know, health and safety for Nikki Johnson.
Oh, that's interesting. She dealt with FEMAS. Ian, can you answer that one?
Well, they said no. She dealt with FEMAS. Well, FEMAS, as we've established, which we all know, relates to health and safety, and she did many risk assessments. Even Alex Fortune did risk assessments that she followed templates that Nikki Johnson Maruniak did. And let's not forget, we have the text, the email from Sam Ramage saying how you get on with health and safety, Nikki. If you need anything, you know where I am.
Yeah. And FEMAS just controls what goes into the mix.
Yes.
We know something here, look. Is now become intelligent.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's quite a serious job, that is.
Because
that goes into the human food chain as well.
No procedure for cleaning out tankers.
No.
No training.
No.
How many people would do it?
2 people at least, one inside and one outside.
He's expanded here, hasn't he, from when he first started, where you'd have been on the top, you'd be washing it, opening the free flow valve, sticking the jet wash up. Now you've got to have 2 people at least. Now it is a big event, isn't it? Bearing in mind, for a lot of years, there was just him and his father on site because the lorry drivers wouldn't get in a tanker. But you need 2 people at least now.
Has anyone told you 2 people were needed?
He says no.
Any contingency or escape plans if anything went wrong?
No.
Common practice?
Okay. Right. We're at a stumbling block here. Because he used the words occasion and all that sort of stuff. What's the definition of common practice? Let's have a look at that. of common practice.
A regular occurrence, I would have said.
Yeah, let's have a quick look. Okay, it's usual, regular, customary, common, everyday life, and the norm of the business, right? But that, yeah, he uses occasional before, and now the word has been changed to see what's happened here. This is the barrister being clever. That he's reversed their words. Because he said occasionally, and now it's turned to common practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it says, how did you know it was common practice?
I've been told to do it yourself.
Who you seen go in?
Yeah, but the question would be there by whom? Who told you?
Yeah.
Robin Neve, we know is an outright liar. Andrew Hargreaves, I haven't a clue about him. I'm totally.
And Harwood is actually referring to my friend who did the mixing down there when the Marooney.
That's not Andrew Hargreaves, no.
Yeah, no, it's not Andy Hargreaves. It's Andy Harwood.
Okay.
It could be related to Andrew Hargreaves because there is the infamous one in the tanker.
Yeah, I don't know what I think about him, to be honest. I'm confused. Tim C. Nathan.
Tim Corcoran was, if you remember, Brad, the first lorry driver's statements when I first came to see you, when we read them out, the statements that were hidden, that Molly Mangan took and hid them. Some of those drivers referred to Tim Corcoran because he used to be the foreman for the tankers, but none of those drivers ever went into a tanker, nor saw one in a tanker. Yet Mike Rooniak's naming Tim Corcoran as going in tankers, the foreman.
Right.
He also says myself, but he had said he never went in the tanker, didn't he?
No, he said he's already said that he went into tankers.
He said here Tim Walker had to go into weld. Well, he wasn't welding, was he? It was opening up the.
Yeah, it was cutting.
Yeah, but
making it bigger.
About this though, right? This, in setting the narrative and that sort of thing. Tim Walker openly said that he went into the tanker once.
Yeah, and he said he'd never seen anybody in before. There was never no need to go in. Yeah, Mike Rooniak's listing a list of people here.
Yeah,
but Tim Walker also said that this product was lethal.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
And Andy Hargreaves said he never went into tankers. But I mean, I'm not too sure if he's believable in what he's saying anyway.
Well, now he says, and your dad, and he says yes, his dad went in.
Mike Marooniak, yeah. How old? Yeah. Well, anyway.
Dave Marooniak's gone in,
but he wouldn't go inside the mixing shed because he knew he'd die.
Yeah.
So he had it outside the mixing shed.
So it goes, and your dad, and he says yes. And mixing tanker as that had to be cleaned out. There you go. Go to the next bit, Phil.
Yeah, but you see, this is all slightly misleading, isn't it? Because if you'd got a tanker where the back end opened up and you'd got the lids opened up and there was no product inside and it had been stood for 2 days, you could quite happily, you could bath a baby in there. There would be no problem in going in that tanker at all.
But there'd be no need to go, though, Phil, would there? Because it wasn't part of my practices and procedures. But I take your point.
Yeah, and also when Tim Walker said that he went into a tanker, he actually vented it, waited.
Yeah, he did. 2 days.
Yeah, and so your business allowed for that sort of thing to happen.
Yeah, so he's been a bit mischievous here. He's making it sound like they were going into tankers with products in it.
Yeah, it's like willy nilly and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and a mixing tank as well. That had to be cleaned out. But what was the mixing tank? What configuration was that?
Open top with a side hatch.
Is that those black ones?
No, they've gone, Brad. They've been taken.
Right.
So not quite going into tankers, that is it really?
No, it's confused
Okay,
it.
let's crack
Yeah.
on. Have you heard?
Oh, you heard reporting blocking to the office.
Okay, he says here Tim, Richard, Bloke on Nights, John Perry. I don't know any.
As far as aware, who are they reporting to?
Gillian, Gillian, whoever's in the office at the time.
So he was there, was he, when they were making these reports?
Oh, apparently he's only there
And he can remember that.
once a week. Ian was there.
Suddenly he can remember that, can't he?
Mm.
Yeah. Did Gillian Leivers ask people to go? So did Gillian Leivers ask people going in to do anything?
Oh, this is really interesting response here. Yes, photos and samples. Where's all these photos?
He did say that I don't know if it's down here. I remember it specifically. It must be in the official court transcripts. He said he deleted them.
Really?
Yeah, that's a shame, wasn't it?
So the photos that Gillian never received, he's deleted.
Yeah, he deleted. Told the jury he deleted them.
Jeez.
Yeah. Photo inside.
Ian, just a quick question. The was your devices seized by the police?
No, none.
None. So,
Nicky Max was downloaded, but that was months later.
but these photos that he's talking about, you would have access to?
Well, I've never seen one apart from that one, which was only presented to me in the police interview and to Gillian. Yet Steve Hunt claims that Lee Marshall showed it Gillian and offered to delete it, but Gillian said to send it to her solicitor. That's a blatant lie. It was presented to us in a police interview for the first time. And it's documented that I said at that time to my solicitor, James Frimpton, this is a fake.
Was it used in court?
Oh, absolutely. That one singular photograph. Yeah, he's talking about here.
And that's the one infamous photo that I've seen.
Yeah.
Right. What does he mean by samples?
They used to take samples of femurs.
Yeah, we used to have to take a sample from every load. And let me explain this one too. Tim Walker put a 1-inch tap underneath the 6-inch pipe that went to the pump. So the operative could open the tap and fill a small sample bottle. So if my product came out of a 1-inch pipe, how on earth could it ever block in a 6-inch pipe?
Yeah. And you're right. You go above industry standards as well, because I've learned that it's 4 inches generally most people use, and you've gone to 6 inches. Yeah, that's just you just bragging, though, isn't it? Every man does that.
You know,
Okay, this is interesting as well. Next question.
Anyway, could it be taken without someone?
No. You just missed the one before that.
What photo inside that one?
Yes, before and after. What does that mean?
So he's taken a photograph, he claims, before it was cleaned and after. But not saved photographs, yet we have iCloud. And like I say, whether we read it further down, it was asked about them, and he said he deleted them.
So basically, right, what we're saying here, right, it's regularized that they would get an instruction, or they would know to do this, right, to clean a tanker out and to take a photo before and after, right, throughout 20 years, and probably I'm surmising, let's just say 15 years. You started your pig. And when did you start your pig feed business?
Well, I started making the confection blend in about 2003, 2004.
So during all that period of them having to take photos before and after, the only one they can produce is one with Andy Hargreaves.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
7 years.
Yeah. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. All right, go to the next question.
So anyway, could it be taken without someone getting photo without going in?
I'm thinking about that question. Anyway, it could be taken without someone getting photo of it. What does that mean? I can't help me out. I don't understand.
Phil, can you glean any?
Anyway, it could be taken.
So he wants to know if you've cleaned the tanker, can you get a photograph without actually getting inside?
Oh, I see.
Oh, and he says no. Yeah, Lee Marshall claims he took that infamous one
from the lid.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just rubbish because I mean, all you got to do is take a photograph of the middle compartment.
Well, don't forget, Phil, I only had Gordon with that 3 compartments.
Yeah.
The
I don't believe a word of any of this crap.
I know, but we need to try and deconstruct it to think about what Mike's thinking to give an answer.
I've become Mr. Cynical, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's easy on this. So anyway, could it be taken without someone getting a photo without going in? No. Okay, I see what you're saying. So you'd have to go inside the tanker to send the before and after photos to take the photo. Okay, I get it. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So
the Green Goddess had a swan neck, so you could stand in it and would be out at the top.
As Steve Hunt said when he claimed he'd seen Robin once.
Stuart and Gillian mainly ran the company. Stuart and Gillian mainly ran the company, and Ian and Lance next.
Bloody hell, my hairdresser wife. Oh, she. Oh, my days.
What were you doing then?
I don't know. I'll tell you what, Phil, she's never stood and looked at a tanker before. Never. She's never been in a lorry before. She wouldn't know the workings of a lorry and tanker at all. Lance used to drive the lorries.
So a lorry would come in and go on the weighbridge. Why was that necessary?
Just so could charge companies for what they had.
Well, to be honest with you, most lorries always bought a backload with them also. So if they bring in a backload in of, it could be Coca-Cola, it could be yogurt, it could be whey. Well, if, let's just say, they had problems with the product going out, surely that would flush it, wouldn't it, when you come back? And why would you want to clean a tanker out that's just had, such as Coca-Cola, and that cleans the barrel crystal clean?
Well, there's a problem here as well, because
a Coca-Cola they use as a cleaning product, don't they, as well?
Correct.
Yeah.
We all backloaded from Milton Keynes on the way home.
Yeah,
but if you've been out to a farm and you've tipped your load apart from say 2 ton, which is still on the vehicle for whatever reason, and then you go and pick a load of whey up, when you get back to site and go onto the weighbridge, you're weighing the whey, if you pardon the expression, but you're also weighing the 2 ton that you've had left on from the previous farm, aren't you?
You are, but to be honest with you, when we collect a load of whey or any other products on the way home, you didn't weigh it because we was charging per collection. So there was no need to go on the weighbridge.
But as far as the farmer's concerned, how do you make sure he only pays for what he's had?
To be honest with you, Phil, they had weighbridges on farm, and I'd say I can't remember many instances apart from after the deaths when Richard Draycott was bringing product back. They tipped the loads, Phil. You know, I ran a successful business. As Brad knows, I'll tell you what, well, I'm not going to F and blind it. Boy, I'd shout if they didn't get that load off, if we had problems. Could you imagine me? You know what I'm like, Brad? Could you imagine how I'd rip their heads off if they couldn't get loads off?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's the thing. Whilst this is where it goes credence towards you. You wouldn't tolerate this sort of stuff.
No.
You know, whilst you're not everybody's a cup of tea.
As you say.
But but you wouldn't tolerate it because how I mean, like for me, right? I remember someone saying to me a few months back, saying, you know, I don't know how, you know, anybody could tolerate you, like to me, right? And I'm saying, well, I'm just being honest. I said, you may not like what I have to say, but I'm being honest.
Well, to
And
be honest,
and a lot of people in life
I
need
spent
to
about 15, 20,000 pounds taking the lagging off my tankers to making them, because they were 30,000 litre barrels. Yes, so as I was explaining there, my tankers are 30,000 litre barrels. And so there was always ullage space. So what we did, we stripped the lagging off to make them a ton lighter so that we could get up to that 28-ton loads. And by carrying that extra ton, let's just say I was selling it for £50 a ton, that meant that I earned £50 a ton, £50 a load more. So if you're doing, say, 3 loads a day, it was an extra £150 revenue coming in. That's how keen I was to ensure that I maximise the profits.
Okay. We need to go to a break. So does someone want to introduce the next song?
Okay. Shall we go for, and you know the relevance of this one, Boomtown Rats, I Don't Like Mondays. But in my case, I think I like it.
Okay, let's play that now.
Chip inside her head gets switched to overload, and nobody's gonna go to school today. She's gonna make them stay at home. Daddy doesn't understand it. He always said she was good as gold, and he can see no reasons, 'cause there are no reasons. What reason do you need to be shown? Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. I wanna shoot the whole day down. The telex machine is kept so clean, and it types to a waging world. A mother feels so shocked, father's world is rocked, and their thoughts turn to their own little girl. Sweet 16 ain't that peachy keen. Now it ain't so neat to admit defeat. They can see no reasons, 'cause there are no reasons. What reasons do you need? Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. I wanna shoot the whole day down, down, down. Shoot it on down. And now the playing stopped in the playground now. She wants to play with the toys a while. And school's out early, and soon we be learning. And the lesson today is how to die. And then the bullhorn crackles, and the captain tackles with the problems in the house and wife. And you can see no reasons, 'cause there are no reasons. What reason do you need to die? Die. Oh, tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. I wanna shoot the whole day down.
Okay, cool. Okay, we are back and continue on with Mike Romaniak's statement, who worked for Greenfeeds for 20 years. And that means basically he worked for Ian Leivers for 20 years, stayed with the business, developed with the business, evolved with the business, and has a lot of knowledge about the business and the day-to-day operations. Yeah, you know, we've heard a lot of no's about health and safety and organization and all this sort of stuff, which is beggars belief. But there you go. That's the kind of person this is on the stand. I would never like to meet this person for a beer. I find him repulsive, if I'm perfectly honest. Anyway, let's carry on. Stuart and Gillian mainly ran the company.
Green Goddess had swan neck, so you could stand in it and would be out the top.
Yeah.
Well, that's
handy.
That's handy, isn't it? So
yeah,
yeah.
But even in a Gordon, you could put your, you know, I'm 5'8", you could easily, well, quite practically put your hands on the lip.
Well,
the top of the tanker.
I just said this, Brad, because it's getting late. But did you not tell me that Steve Hunt rang you and said that the Green Goddess, when you stood in it, it'd be not up to your waist, and he saw Robin in it once, he claimed, and never seen anyone take. And he also said you told me that he claimed that if he'd have been there that day, this wouldn't have happened.
He did say that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did say that. Yeah.
That's because he, as an experienced driver, would not allow anybody to go inside a tanker, let alone if it had 6,000 litres of pig feed still in it.
Yeah, he also said that as well.
But I don't know what that says about Richard Draycott.
Yeah,
because
well,
Richard Draycott did allow.
Yeah, that was the question that was asked, you know, and he obviously can't answer that, can he? Really, because he knows that basically it shouldn't have happened. Because it's obvious, isn't it? Really, I mean, I could never do that to a fellow employee. Yeah, just jump in there and.
Well, that lad had only worked there a few weeks, hadn't he?
4 weeks, yeah, 4 weeks. He to put their lives at risk, knowing that they would never do it in if it was them, you know. I don't know. There's an expression, isn't there? Just trying to think what it is. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, let's carry on.
Okay, we're going to Stuart and Gillian mainly run a company. So the lorry would come in and go on the weighbridge. Why was that necessary?
Why was that necessary? Where are we at? I've lost again. Yeah. Just so you could charge companies for whatever they had.
Was it usual for the lorry to come back with some left on?
Only if there's a blockage or part load being delivered.
It's two elements there, then, isn't it? Blockage or part load being delivered. So why would you only want to deliver a part load?
I really don't know. The only thing I can think of with a part load is you'd fill the tanker up, you'd deliver half of it, say, come back, then you put the other half on for the following day. That's all I can think of.
But I never took any loads out, part loads, Phil, especially when you go into Bournemouth.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't, would you? I mean, bloody hell.
There was all on getting there in the driving time, you know. I think they did a spread over when they delivered to that farm down there to Hanford's. You know, it was
wouldn't make economic sense, would it? It wouldn't.
10-hour trip, so there's round about, I think I was equated about 700 quid in transport to get there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I was a little bit distracted because I wanted to find out about this famous quote, and I've kind of found it. It's not quite. It could be the one I was looking for. I'm not too sure, but it's Eleanor Roosevelt. It says it is not fair to ask others what you are not willing to do yourself. And there's Corficus, do not do unto others what you do not want done to you.
Yeah, my dad always used to say, if I told you to go and jump in the Trent, would you go and do it? No.
Yeah.
They knew it was wrong, but they allowed it to happen. But I don't think it's as straightforward though, Ian, in my personal opinion. I know we're thinking on the spot again. That he fell into a tanker, lifted himself in the tanker, all these different stories, and then trying to get out the tanker and all that sort of stuff. That's what makes it so disturbing, this case. Anyway, let's carry on. I don't want to talk about that. But...
So I think fully loaded, the lorry was about 42 ton.
It was actually 44, delivered 28. So by my reckoning, you'd come back empty at 16 tons.
Yeah. So he's saying 14 tons. So the returning lorry empty should be 14 tons. Anything over meant you've left some food on. Does it automatically need cleaning?
Cleaning sort of thing, yes. Does cleaning mean just like put a jet washer in the top or empty it out into the slurry?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, Brad, when I used to take loads out, and very few and far between, but back in the day when I was delivering direct to farms with products, I'd use their hose pipe, stand at the top and rinse it out, because it used to come down the sides and you'd have a little 2-inch gap down the middle. You put the hose pipe on it and it flushed everything through and out. And that was a practice that I did. And I know my drivers used to do at some farms as well.
Are you a qualified driver yourself, though?
I am indeed, yes.
Right. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I started.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
So cleaning out tankers as a topic, your 20 years at Greenfeeds, according to your statement, you've only been in a tank to clear approximately 10 times, correct?
This.
So we're saying yes in the lorry tank.
I know, I'm Phil, to be honest, I'm dumbfounded. Right. Go back to the statement on the steps outside court, what was said.
Yeah.
And he's basically saying, I only went in 10 times in 20 years.
Don't forget, Robin Neve went in 3 times in 1 week.
Yeah, that was his legendary, like he needed a trophy. No, this is serious. This is serious. So basically, right, Ian's saying they never went generally into tankers anyway, or they were not allowed into tankers. But I'm guessing from time to time people went into tankers. But 20 years, and he said 10 times. And he said, yes, 10 times in 20 years. And then basically, no wonder why there was no reason to have a risk of method statement. The oh man, this is so fucked up. Because think back to it, you know, other statements where they say, "Oh, I always used to come back with loads and blockages and all this sort of stuff." This is the problem, Phil. It's such a
Well, a little bit early on, Brad, because now we've moved on. It looks to MB, so it looks like it's Mark Ballish asking this question. Earlier on, he said he was doing it once a month. Exactly. So that's 12 times a year.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's 48 times.
The
nothing that this bloke says is straight.
10 times in 20 years, and then you've got the other statements in his own statement, and no one follows this through. And says, you know, I would say, Mr. Maruniak, what is the truth? You've said this, your dad said this. You can't do the dad said this, actually, you can't do that. But you know, what is the truth? You know, it may not be comfortable for Mike, but what the hell does that matter? He's bloody hell, man. Bloody hell.
What you've got to do really is make him out to be a liar, and that's it. Discredit him as a witness.
But it's so easy to discredit all these witnesses.
I know.
The only one, right? And you know, doing this series, I asked you, and it's the first time, Phil. You can vouch for me on this. I said, "Can you send me Gillian Leivers' statement?" Just so I can just double check, right? And I read it, and you can tell it's the person that I spoke to on the phone. I've only ever spoke to her once, and my picture of her and that December episode that I did with you did with me as well with her former staff, you know, elevated me to my understanding of who she is. And when I read her statement, it's exactly what I wanted to see. Her being brutally honest, and she said nothing wrong. She said nothing wrong. I read the whole 63 pages, and that's the first time I've ever asked for information in advance. And like I'm reading this here today, I'm reading it for the first time. And then you've got 10 times in 20 years. Granted, tankers were not there for 20 years, so like minus off a certain period, but even so, 10 times. Occasionally,
He's lying when he even said this. You know, when he first did that statement, it was a lie. He'd never been in a tanker.
2003. So 13 years is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
10 times in 13 years. That's not even once a year. All right, carry on.
The statement, the 13th of the 1st, 17, not long after the incident, you say to clear a blockage, I would empty the tank using the free flow valve. If that didn't work, I'd put the hose up the free flow. If that doesn't work, hose down the hatch, then go in with a pressure washer.
Jeez.
Same as evidence given something then. Can't remember exactly.
Yeah, you just answered what he said. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, but can I ask again, where's the blockage? Because you know the free flow valve, that pipe goes into the tanker, and it's a separate pipe to the 6-inch pipe that goes to the pump. Yeah. So if you are emptying a load through the 6-inch pipe to the pump and off into the farmer's tank, what is that pipe got to do with it? The free flow valve, because that's the loading pipe. So where's the blockage? What is it?
Yeah, it gets.
I think what they're insinuating is the blockage is at the pump.
Well,
but like you say, a 6-inch bloody pipe is slightly different to the free flow pipe.
It's only the lobes that were, Phil. And Brad tells me, Steve Hunt claims that when the lobes were with him, which I spoke to Lance about, he can't ever remember him taking a load out. He claimed it was at a farm, 3 hours to tip. Well, that's a lie.
Yeah, he said that's the point that you changed the lobes.
Yeah. Well, even if you were there 3 hours, that means you've tipped the load. That was a lie, by the way. I always said if it took to get it over an hour, the lobes needed changing, and that's a fact. So it doesn't matter. The load would still tip, but takes a bit longer. So it's the lobes wearing. There's no such thing as a blockage. All this that we're reading is just twiffle.
Twiffle.
But what he's claiming here is he's claiming here that he's going into a tank after the incident.
Yeah.
The two guys have died in December 16, and what he's saying in January 17, so less than a bloody month, he's going back in tankers, this guy.
Well, that never happened. So that's the first time I've actually interpreted this like this. Phil, nobody went in. Can you imagine 2 guys have died and he's still saying he's going in?
A month later. Step aside. Let me in there.
But here, just ask the next question because I've got comment on this.
So what you're describing is a staged process.
And he says yes. Now, my point being, right, there's a process, right? And obviously Dave Romaniak said that he created this process himself.
He did.
So
He was dangerous though.
Yeah. You can't make this shit up, can you, Phil? Really? I mean, if yeah, you can make. Oh, jeez.
Well, actually, I think they can make this shit up, and I think they have.
Oh, no, they have. They have. I get it. Yeah, I knew that was coming. But but what I mean is, there's a process and procedure, and he's saying yes, right? A procedure for him going to tankers, jet washing, doing all this sort of stuff and all that sort of thing. The it just flabbergasts me, right? How they've got away with this, knowing what they know from previous witnesses. They don't have to say, for example, hearsay evidence on the stand, but they could say, we understand this happened and we understand this happened, and there's none of that because they could have used that evidence moving forward, but it's none of it anyway. A staged process, and he says yes. But as oh, I didn't see the tank using people. Okay, fine, carry on. If that didn't work,
I would go in that last stage you've done 10 times in 20 years.
This doesn't make sense. Yeah, as I wasn't involved in lorry side.
So he's trying to say lorry drivers went in them, but no lorry drivers have said they'd ever go into a tanker.
Every single lorry driver said that. Not one lorry driver said they were going to a tanker.
But he's trying to say it's only 10 times in 20 years because others were going in.
Well, there's only lorry drivers because there was only him and his dad that worked for me for a great number of years.
It was the temp rat, Robin Neve.
Yeah, he did come to work for me about 2013, something like that.
Well, this
anyway,
we're obviously missing something here, but anyway,
the description of how you do it.
It says yes, but obviously we're missing some notes there. Carry on.
The matter of last resort if other stages hadn't worked.
Yes, I'm guessing that means that last resort would go into the tanker, not first resort. Which goes to a very relevant point, actually, in some respects, because it was set like concrete, and the first resort was the going to the tanker on this day, allegedly. Okay, carry on.
Given the fact that you've done it 10 times in 20 years, not something you'd have to do often.
Not me, myself.
So early stages usually successful, and you didn't have to.
Yes, as it was liquid, but got more frequent as liquid loads changed.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm guessing the contents.
Yeah. More pasta and room maker.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's confectionery blend. It's all gone through the 10mm holes in the Borger macerator, and it's all ground down to a smoothie.
Yeah.
You get lumps of pasta going through, is it?
Well, we can only assume that the liquid content elements. I guess that's what it means.
Well, nothing changed, Brad. I sold it the same material, the same parameters, the trading standards. I had to meet parameters. I had to have the energy there, the protein there, the fiber there. It was all on my sales sheet. So it was the same product. The farmers I wanted saying, well, I'm going to charge you, say, £1% this week or £40 a ton. And, it's going to change this week. I'm going to charge you £60 a ton and £40 a ton. It was the same product. the nutritionist couldn't put it into the ration if it wasn't the same product. It would be impossible.
Okay. Carry on, Phil.
So it's you actually saying was the first time when he was 18 and then long
And it was pig feed, yeah. Yeah.
I think it was pig feed.
Okay, this is you next then, sorry.
You saw Nathan in the tanker once before, short time before 22nd of the 12th.
Yes.
When we come on to quality of pig feed, what was the reason pig feed was causing more blockages?
Because of the different products such as pasta, Ramenko, gravel off the floor.
Off the floor. Let me break that down. I suggest pasta had always been used.
The pasta then was used. We spoke about the pasta. Their idea was, well, it's free. If we had to clean it out once per week.
Hang on.
Now once per week as well.
How does he know the mechanics of my business? I was always buying pasta. I paid a great deal of money for it.
Yeah. Let me just finish off. Let me just finish off the statement. Just for if we have to clean it out once per week, it's worth it. Yeah, go on, Ian. What do you have to say?
Well,
no. Let me carry on. Sorry, it's not finished yet. Remain. Oh no, that's the question. All right, that's Phil. Yeah, carry on, Ian.
Yeah. So I don't know why he's talking about pasta being free. What purpose is there even mentioning that? But I used to buy pasta, but I don't see the relevance of discussing it at all. And what has that got to do with having to clean it out once a week when he said he's only been in a tanker 10 times in 20 years? But then earlier in his statement, he'd been in once a month. I mean, this is so messed up, isn't it?
It's
like his brain.
It's definitely skewed. Definitely skewed. Okay, carry on, Ramenko.
Ramenko, I put to you Ramenko not being used in 2016 when you say it was.
It was being used for a while, but when putting to biofuel plant, putting more in, how does that have any relationship with it?
I don't know how it's had any relationship because we only had one load in 2016 and this has been put to him. So how could he put more in when we only had one load in 2016?
Okay, carry on, Phil.
And then he was saying that he said you were delivering biofuel, didn't he? And now he's saying it's going to a biofuel plant.
Yeah, that's a bit I don't understand.
I suggest not put in there.
It was.
It was. Feed gets put into tank. You're in the mixing shed. Food brought in. Surplus product bought in. Recycling, drink, milk, pop. Gone past its date to the mixing shed. To the crushing shed. And then bought to the mixing shed.
You just took over my slot. To crushing shed and then brought back to the mixing shed.
Yeah, I'm trying for an Oscar.
Believe it or not, right? It's
guys. You have seen the other macerator that Tim Walker's there when he shouts to Mike Maruniak. Mike Maruniak makes cow shit. That's in ground down before it even goes into the mixing pot.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
And through the Burgerminster. But you could see it was lovely material, wasn't it?
Well, it didn't look very attractive.
It was very fine material.
You don't get the eye of it.
I wouldn't serve that on a dinner party.
Beautiful. It was the best material you could ever purchase.
This is we're recording this. We're recording this 12:30 at night. Anyway, the product chopped up.
So the product chopped up and put in the process.
Mix half liquid and half feed. Went through chopper pump. It actually does say kind of plump, but it's pump. Push through whole fingers size. Oh, there you go. That's quite interesting.
Oh,
Has he got really fat fingers? Maybe, I don't know. Oh yeah. Okay. It says here, open brackets, so pretty tiny. Close brackets. Yeah. Then pump it into lorry. See, even then, Ian. Let me just finish this, right? A lorry of the tanks. Sometimes lorry loaded with their pumps. They talk about the large gravel that was collected in that bucket that time. Which I can't remember who it was that handed it in to the office. They found it in there. It's impossible then, because he's saying finger hoe size.
well, it was 10mm plates. I had them.
Yeah, I know that, but he's actually evidencing himself.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at my finger now.
Yeah.
I'm it's
Yeah.
no.
Mate, there was quite expensive plates, yet it was Steve Hunt and Richard Draycott claimed there was gravel in there, 20mm and above. And down at one of my customers' sites near Worcester, they had the same pump there. They're talking in 2017 when there was causing sabotage, and it was actually a Vogelsang pump, which I had, a different to one of my jaw ops in 2017, and the customer changed the lobes because they'd been obliterated. They'd obviously tipped buckets full of 20mm gravel into the tankers to cause damage or put it into the pump.
The thing, we need to go to a break anyway, like quite quickly. But the thing that I can't get my head around is the discussion that we had that your filters were nets.
Yeah, after these macerator pumps and the 10mm, it went up to the screen. You saw my video when I was smashing the screen with a brick.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah, that's the screen. So that's not a net, is it? I've still got it here. It's still at my.
That's what they told us, though, Ian.
Yeah, they told you that. Yeah.
Okay, we need to go to a music break. Anyone?
Muse, Starlight.
Okay, let's do that now. Muse, Starlight.
This ship has taken me far away.
So it's 1:45 in the morning. Hope you enjoyed that song. We are coming to an end. Phil has got a busy day tomorrow, as have I. And we you know, all I can say is I'll just quickly glance through during that song the rest of the statement, and it I can just say this: the
none of it's true.
the did you have problems with the pump blocking? Sometimes.
Rare.
Yes.
So drivers go and deliver to pig farms.
Correct. Anyway, but the point being is just those precursor comments. Rare, yes. The so it's clear that this wasn't a regular occurrence. Now, Phil, let's just give him a bonus song for the end of this episode.
Okay.
If you've got one.
Yeah, let's go with Coldplay.
Yeah.
And Yellow.
Okay, let's play Coldplay and Yellow, and look forward to looking at this next week.